Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome back on this Monday morning. It's great to be back with you. Hope you had a great, or you're having a great Labor Day weekend. Pardon me. Be sure to stay safe now. Want everyone to be safe. My name is Don K. Preston. I am the president of Preterist Research Institute of Ardmore, Oklahoma, and this is what I call my morning musings. Enjoying a good cup of coffee. I got a real good scald on it this morning. And anyway, I'm offering some thoughts in response to Dr. William Lane Craig, who wrote an article questioning the truthfulness of covenant eschatology, i.e. preterism. And we've already looked at the first objection he gave. The second objection is he seems to believe that preterists do not believe that Christ was ruling and reigning from his ascension until AD 70. And that simply is false. I don't personally know any preterists that deny that. And so he goes ahead to say, see, here Paul sees Christ as already reigning. He is reigning presently and will finally deliver the kingdom over to God when all of his enemies have been subdued, including the last enemy, which is death. He then cites Hebrews chapter 2 to the same effect. Well, once again, let me emphasize, I don't know of any preterists who deny that from his ascension until his parousia, Christ would be ruling. But the key here, as I noted in my very last segment, was Dr. Craig seems to believe that at his parousia, Christ surrenders his rule. We've already taken note of the Greek word that is translated as deliver. We have taken note of the fact that according to Matthew chapter 25 and Ephesians chapter 5, that at his parousia, Christ would present the church to himself. He wouldn't surrender it. He wouldn't abdicate. Now, this is an incredibly powerful point. But what I want you to consider is this. The question is, once to reiterate, the question is not, was Christ ruling and reigning from his ascension until his parousia? The question is, would he cease to reign at his parousia, at his coming? Folks, there is nowhere in the Bible, unless 1 Corinthians 15 is it, nowhere in the Bible that suggests Christ would surrender or abdicate his rule. Is Dr. Craig correct to note that between his ascension and his parousia, it is an interim period of time? Yes, he is. I believe that. I don't know of any preterists who deny it. The question is, once again, would he surrender his rule? We'll take note of Matthew chapter 25, 31. When the Son of Man comes, then shall he sit on the throne of his glory. As William Bell sagaciously observed some years ago, when he comes, he sits, he doesn't quit. And look at Revelation chapter 11, 15 and following. This occurs at the time of the judgment of the city where the Lord was slain. What happens at that time? At that time, which is the sounding of the seventh trumpet, which, by the way, is the last trumpet, but at that time, it says, the kingdoms of this world have become the kingdoms of our God, now watch this, and of his Christ, and they, not the Father isolated from the Son, not the Father distinct from the Son, not the Son surrendering, abdicating, but they shall rule forever and ever. So what is taking place here? During the interim period of time between his ascension and his parousia, Christ was in the process of putting down his enemies. His parousia would be to put the last enemy under his feet. That's Revelation chapter 11. But at his coming, he does not surrender. He does not abdicate. He does not terminate his rule. He shares the throne with the Father, having accomplished all that the Father had given him to do. We find the exact same thing in Revelation 22, verse 3. Now notice, this is after the resurrection of chapter 20. This is the coming of the new heaven and new earth. And what does it say? We have the Father, and the Son on one throne. Doing what? Ruling in the new creation. Dr. Craig's claim that preterists do not have Christ ruling and reigning until AD 70, that claim is false. The claim by Dr. Craig and others that Christ would surrender his rule at his coming, at the judgment, is false. Then shall he sit on the throne of his glory. And Dr. William Lane Craig's belief and claim that somehow, some way, Christ surrenders his rule flies in the face of every text that posits the relationship between Christ and the church at his coming. Dr. William Lane Craig has made quite a serious misrepresentation about the relationship between Christ and the church against preterists. Look, order my book. It contains a wealth of material on this entire issue of whether or not Christ surrenders his rule, abdicates his reign at his coming. There's simply no biblical support for that concept. Order the book, Like Father, Like Son, on Clouds of Glory. Mention that you saw the offer on YouTube or Facebook. I'll refund your shipping. Go to my website, eschatology.org, BibleProphecy.com. Order the book today, and like I said, I'll refund your shipping. Thanks for joining me for this morning's morning musings. You be safe. God bless. See you on the flip side.